Okay, Brock, you want to take it away?
Yeah. Okay, so about maybe 3.5, 4 years ago, I went to a training with Rob Gibson. I don't know who's all familiar with him, but in Colorado, he is the man when it comes to commercial. I mean, he puts up astronomical numbers. So after it was over, I asked if I can come by his office and see how he gets it going and does his marketing. I walk in there, and the first thing he said is, "You just got to get with client focus connections. You send them your list. That's the only thing that he pretty much uses." And so that's what I did. Now some of the advice that he gave me was to get with your commercial wholesaler to find out where we're competitive. Then you go to Sales Genie and pull off a list of those SIC codes where in the areas that you want to go and get signed up. But he also said that if you want to be good at commercial, it's not a 3-month program, a 6-month program. He said you've got to give this at least a year or two with client focus connections before you see the results. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle, because you're investing money into it and you want to see immediate results. And that's not so much the case. You've got to build up your pool of X dates, which is what they do. So yesterday I actually crunched some numbers on what I've done the last 3 years. So and it's kind of made me upset that I haven't been investing a little bit more into this. But I've done the $300 a month for the last 3 years. So the first year I paid out $3,600. I made in commissions about $5,000, which is a net of $1,400, which isn't bad. The next year I paid $3,600. I had all the X dates that I had from the prior year that I didn't do business with, plus the new ones I got. So my X date pool is expanding. I made about $15,000 that year, plus the $5,000 from the prior year on renewals, which put me about $20,000 that year. And this year, I am for 2011, I think I'm going to finish about 25,000 commercial commissions, plus the renewals from the prior 2 years, which is another 20,000, which puts me about 40,000. Anyway, when it's all said and done, over 3 years, I've paid in about $10,800, and I've got out about $67,000 in commissions. So you can kind of see where you're not going to it takes a little while, but as you keep going and building up your X date, I just landed a $30,000 manufacturer that Client Focus Connection got me the X date 3 years ago, and I've called him every year for 3 years, and finally this year he let me come in and quote him, and we picked him up. So it's one of those things where you got to be consistent. You got to develop a system to run through it. But I've had great success. And what I did, it's funny, Rob said he did the same thing. I just have a drawer in one of my file cabinets that has a tab for January, February, March, April, May, etc. through the year. And every month I get the X dates that say are coming up in March. I call them 2 years out. And if for some reason I can't get together with them or we're not competitive, I make sure to let them know I'm going to call them next year, and I'll just put it back in that file. So I have here the stack for March that I'm calling on right now, and I've been working it the last couple of weeks, but I've probably had 70 or 80 companies to call on just in March. So even if I set appointments with a third of those, that's 15, 20 appointments. If you're closing 5 out of that, that's pretty good numbers. And all it takes is a little bit of time to call them, because Client Focus Connection does all the other stuff. The big thing is to know where your sweet spot is on the list that you send in, and then to update those every year, 6 months or so, and then also the areas that you want to work with that you're competitive. I just do a 30-mile radius around my office for some things, but some things that are bigger accounts like hotels and things like that, I'll do 50, 60 miles. I talked to Rob, and he says he does the whole state, and I hope to get to the point where I'm focusing mainly on commercial. I just don't have time to do that right now. So, I don't know time-wise if you want me to go in any more, Dean. I mean, that's my story.
Well, I guess what I want to go back is one of the things that we see with agents. We've been doing this 15 years, and the first 7 years we've been focused on auto and home, and then the do not call kind of shut that down. So the last 8 years we've been really focused on commercial, and Rob has been a client of ours for 7 years. And the big thing that we see is agents, when they come on, they'll come on for our intro offer, which is $277, and we give them list management for free at that. But to convert them and to get them to make that commitment is like, I don't know, they feel like they're writing a check for $20,000 or $2,000. So can you kind of talk about that apprehension that you had in the beginning, and what really you've been committed for the last 3 years. What was it? What really made you make that commitment? Was it Rob, or was it?
Yeah, plain and simple. It was Rob. I mean, I look at someone who is killing it. I actually just saw Rob like 3 days ago, and Farmers just paid our work comp. They had some deal with the commissions where they were paying monthly, but now they just paid. Now they're going to annual, so they paid all at once. So they had to catch up on those extra commissions you had for the year, and he got like an extra $70,000 on his paycheck on January. So, someone like that, he's being successful. So you go with someone who's successful and trying to emulate what they do, and that's what I've tried to do my whole career. And I looked at it, and at first when we started laying out the numbers, I was like, "Yeah, Rob, that's a lot of money to put out." And he's like, after he broke it down, and you see what your return is, and you could turn around and try and hire someone yourself to do that calling, which I've tried in the past and is a nightmare. And it would cost more than the cost that you guys do it for anyway. So, I mean, once he laid it out to me like that, it made perfect sense. And
now you have Rob to kind of look to, and we have some good agents throughout the country. But we have some. I have an agent out here in Arkansas or Missouri or California. What do you recommend to some of those agents that do not have a Rob Gibson that's using our program? How do you what do you recommend?
Well, take it from me then. I mean, you heard my numbers. I made $67,000 minus my investment. I'm up $50,000 by using the program.
3 years.
And I'll be catching the renew you.
And those renewals are going to continue to build year after year after year.
Absolutely. And if you think about it on commercial, this is the other thing that Rob said. He's got 2,000 personal lines policies, and he's got about 800, 900, and this was several years ago, commercial policies, and he makes about 4 times as much with a third of the service work on the commercial policies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, it makes sense to diversify and get into that arena. The learning curve's pretty big, and just like anything else that you do, practice makes perfect. So the more the more I go out and meet with these people, the better I get.
Before we turn it over to Rob Rector and then go into questions, do you ever go to these businesses and try to convert the auto and home or do anything with the employees, anything like that?
Yes. I pick up quite a bit of personal lines business by cross-selling the business.
With the business owner or with the employees?
I do it all. Once I figure if the guy likes me enough to give me a check, why not ask if I could bring some donuts by one day and just talk to his employees and see if I can get him in a better program. It'll make him look good, and then I also always ask about their own personal insurance.
Right. Okay, let's just switch over to Rob. And Rob, from Main Street Marketing, we're actually going to have a webinar at 1 o'clock today. If you haven't had a chance to register for that, Rob will give you the details on that. And then let's open it for questions then. That sound fair?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, exactly what we were talking about here, bringing the donuts by. We have worked with Affinity Marketing. It's called the BOSS program for Business Owner Sales Strategy. It's a way to put yourself in front of the employees. And it all centers around our Main Street Marketing system, Home Organizer CD, the Milk Digital ID. You may have heard of all of that. But we found out that 89% of surveyed employers will allow a farmer's agent to visit with their employees about a worthwhile cause. Well, a worthwhile cause is certainly protecting your kids, protecting your pets, protecting your valuables, home